Well, you don't need to display your video. So the class will actually start by 9 o'clock. So I'll be here to provide guidance on IELTS class. I hope I am very clear. Hello, good evening. I will start the class at exactly by 9 o'clock. So just stay tuned.
So what is that? What are you writing?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Sorry, I didn't know I can talk. Oh, sorry.
Okay, no worry. I will mute your speaker to avoid that.
Okay. So what's the last one? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. Okay, just give me a minute. I will start now. Okay, hello, good afternoon, good evening. I hope we can all hear me. Okay, I'll be starting the IELTS lecture this evening, and I'm going to particularly be talking about IELTS writing. I will be talking about the IELTS writing in particular because there was a request for it. Because I was contacted by majority of those who said they would like to participate, that they would like me to talk about the IELTS writing task. Okay, so this evening I will be discussing about the IELTS writing task, so that we will all be able to understand I might
Turn
not.
off the light.
What did you say?
Sorry.
Okay, you. The thing there is that
Sorry, I'm here now. Sorry.
okay, so I will be starting now. So I have to mute your side so that you won't be I won't be interrupted too much. But you can indicate that you want to unmute maybe for question section session. So if you can see my slide, please, can you see my slide?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, then I will be making some preambles before going into how to properly write an IELTS essay. This evening, I'll be dealing with the type 2. I'm not sure I'll be able to finish because in previous lectures that I've had with people, there's no way I can finish in a day because of the fact that I need to pass across as much information as possible. Possibly, I might continue on Thursday and those who would like to continue. Okay, now, one of the things I would like to say categorically is on my slide. You need to read extensively because I'm going to be teaching you about two things, developing your grammar, vocabulary, and then how to properly structure your essay. If you properly structure your essay, there is a possibility you can get 6.57, but the moment you start developing good grammar and expression, then the possibility of getting 7.58 start happening. All those things are the things I will be letting you know this evening. But one of the things you need to do in particular is that you need to read extensively on different issues because so that you can develop your idea and knowledge bank. If you do not read extensively, you will get to some question, you will discover that you just lack the idea of how to properly write. Okay, so the things that you need to do is when you read, it serves many purposes. Your knowledge is broadened. This is a preamble, and for an effective writer, you must read, and you are able to develop your vocabulary and grammar in that. Okay, why do you need to develop your vocabulary? And this is what I mean by part of the vocabulary development. You know at least 1, 2, 3 words that can be used interchangeably. Because if you are writing a sentence, if you will have to repeat some particular keyword, you won't score a high mark in writing. For example, if you use the word develop, other words that can replace develop is nurture, train, grow. And look at the sentence that I have here on my slide. I said, I have developed myself to the level of a professional. I had put myself through trainings and programs that will grow and nurture my innate abilities. Okay, develop has been replaced by grow and nurture as we transited, because most time the initial statement you make needs to be illustrated, and while you are illustrating, you will repeat some of the keywords. It is most appropriate when you are able to replace those keywords with their synonyms wherever available and applicable. Now, I am recommending that you read from this good journal site because most of the things we consume on social media every day are not standard English write-ups. One of the things you need to do is to read journals, articles that are well structured and constructed. In so doing, you'll be able to learn how to properly write and structure your essay. So now, what the purpose of those grammar is that you are not repetitive. You don't keep repeating yourself. you are not monotonous. You have a variant way of expressing yourself. And I have given certain example from a sample journal: positive thinking, optimism, outlook towards the future, mindset, visualize, vivid imagination. So there are ways you can put across your message that they don't become so boring and monotonous. Now, I said positive people are generally happy human. Instead of repeating people, I said human to replace people. Then when I now use a pronoun here, they are always, instead of saying positive people, they are always optimistic. Optimistic replace positive. And on the whole means generally, they maintain positive outlook towards life. So when you are writing, you need to be deliberate about your choice of words, especially when you make your opening statement. Subsequent statement that you will be making, when you have to repeat the keywords, you need to try to think about the alternate words to use. Okay, now, this is what I just explained in my slide. When you make the initial statement, subsequent statement, and things like that. Now, I will want to rush through the writing. Then this is expression. The first part I dealt with was vocabulary, and this part I am dealing with expression. The same way you learn new words and use synonyms when expressing multiple times, is the same way you need to learn higher expressions and put them to use. I wrote a statement here 3 times. I said pandemonium broke loose when his mother died just 6 months after his father passed. Okay, I replaced died with past. All hell was let loose when he lost his mother just 6 months after the demise of his father. Now, that's another alternate way of expressing it. And I said he feels all sorts of troubles when he lost both of his parents. The third statement is a lower English expression. It will still be acceptable because there are some lower formats. But the first 2 statements are higher expressions. So the better or the more higher expressions or the not too general or common words that you can use, the more mark you are able to score in Ielts writing. Because I find it particularly that a lot of students have challenges in the area of writing. I am taking you through this because these are the little things that can make you score a 7.58 when you get the writing structure right. Another form of expression here, I said the chasm between the rich and the poor is so deep. Now, the word chasm is what I want to emphasize. This part now, I said the second statement, I said the gulf in class between the rich and the poor. The third statement said the gap. The 3 statements are correct, but the first 2 statements have better and higher expressions. Okay, these are the expressions you learn if you read constantly from good journals and good sites. Okay, now, for those of us who have not written the Ielts exam before, the writing structure is in 2. If you are writing the general, the first part is letter writing. If you are writing the academic, the first part is diagram and graph description. If you are writing for both general and academic writers, the essay writing is a common factor for both of the exams. So now I will go into the essay writing because I find that to be the most challenging part based on the experience I've had teaching this Ielts writing. Okay, now, so I need to run through some part of my slide to skip some so that I can quickly get to, because the first part I thought was the writing general. Sorry, I am scrolling backwards. Okay, now writing task 2. It is 40 minutes and you are requested or required to write at least 250 words. And you can write more than that if you have many things to write. But don't write too lengthy, because the more you write, the more errors you make, the less time you have to correct yourself when you are done. Because when you are done, at least you should have 3 to 5 minutes for you to have the time and chance to proofread your work, so that you can properly correct your spellings and other things. Okay, now I said the first thing you need to do is you need to clarify the task. What do I mean? Ielts questions, especially in the essay or argumentative part, sometimes could be so complex that if you do not properly decode the question and you start writing, then you get midway and you see yourself that you are stranded. That's why a lot of students start writing anything just to make the word count. Now, to avoid that, I've been able to group most of these questions because they are grouped into 3 broad categories. We have the why questions. The why questions, I will explain it, the what questions, and also the how questions. Okay, if you see my slide now, there is the how, there is the why, and there is the what. The why question is always about justifying a position. You will be asked a question. I'm going to give illustration by a certain question. You'll be asked a question and you'll be asked, to what extent do you agree or disagree? Or what is your opinion about a divided issue? Okay, if you will be taking a position, it means you will be justifying that position. So it is a why question. So you know that when you take the position, what you are looking for is justification for your reason or your point. It's a why question. What question normally come in this format? The question has been displayed and you will be asked, what do you think is responsible? In that case, you are asked to list those things that are responsible, and then you now write illustration and validation to properly explain. The how questions sometimes come as an addendum. What I mean by addendum is an addition to the what and why question. Sometimes it will ask you, what do you think is responsible for this, and what can be done? What can be done means, what are the solutions? How can you fix the problem? So you need to properly decode your question. When you decode the question, then you go to the next phase. I'm going to show certain questions now, and I'm going to explain what category of questions they are for you. After explaining, I'm going to unmute if you have any question, so that I don't just keep on talking, so that you can ask your question. And please, I will point out if you have the question, let's talk one after the other. Now, I have indicated a point of note here, because a lot of people fall victim. Do not be swayed by the morality of the question. For example, you are asked to talk about, a lot of people now aborting, and you are asked to say, do you believe in abortion or not? The most important thing is the side that you can defend, not your moral position. You are writing an exam. A lot of people fall into the trap of abortion is not good, but they do not have points to defend it. They do not have points that they can vividly explain and illustrate. So don't be captured or swayed by the morality of the question. You need to pick a side, whether you agree or disagree. You can agree with one part, disagree with the other part. The most important thing is you have a justification and you can defend your points. Okay, now, this, whichever side you pitch your tent, the task is to simply answer to justify your choice. So now I will go back to the first question, because I have said the first question is, it is benefiting to buy a ticket to watch a movie at the cinema than to purchase a library ticket to go study in the library. To what extent do you agree with this statement? This statement is a statement of justification. You pick a side, whether you want to say it is better to go to the cinema or it's better to go to the library, or the two are of equal importance. You can take any side. So this question is a why question, because you are taking a side and you will be justifying why you are taking such a position. Okay, I will display another question. This question, if you read it now, after this question, I will unmute and I want us to contribute. The first car appeared on British Road in 1988. By the year 2020, there may be as many as 29 million vehicles on British roads. Alternate forms of transport should be encouraged and international laws introduced to control car ownership and use. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. So the main question is, to what extent do you agree with the first statement, or do you agree with the old statements? Or do you disagree at all with the old statement? So it means whatever side you take, you will have to justify the position. This question typically is a why question. So you will take a position and look for justification. Why do I need to go through all this? A lot of people will start taking position without properly justifying their position because they think it's a what question. A why question, you take the position, you list reasons, justify your position. So now this one, I will unmute now because I want us to contribute. Okay, we can all see the question. So some of us, our names are appearing. Some of us, it's the phone type that we are using. Okay, if you can read the questions on the slide, I would now like the person using Gino, is it Genoa?
Yeah.
S11 Light.
Yeah.
What question type is this?
Oh my God. A minute, please.
Okay. Just read it. I'll give you the minutes that you need so that
Okay.
I want you to concentrate.
Okay. I think it's a oh God.
You don't need to be scared. You don't be scared of what this time around. Okay. What question type?
I think it's a what question.
Okay, yes. Actually, the first question is a what question because you are going to list. Sorry, you are going to list the cause of what causes or caused the paradigm shift. Why are people
Yes.
now more particular about science and technology and business?
Technology.
The second question is, however, a how question because you are going to profile a solution on how to cure why people now prefer science, technology, and business to arts.
Okay. The second one that says what can be done.
Yes, it's a
To
how
draw people's
question, it's a
attention.
solution
Okay.
question.
Okay.
So that will help you to properly frame the question and understand it. Okay, I will go into another question sample now. Okay, this question is going to Yetunde Awe. Thanks for joining. Okay, so I would like you to provide answer to what question type is it, because it's important we understand the question before you set sail. Okay. You muted yourself. Are you trying to think aloud? Okay, I have tried to unmute you, but I think you muted yourself. Okay, if I can't get your opinion, then I think I will go to the next person using Galaxy S8 Plus. I don't know. If you can, please. Okay, tell us what question type is this?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I think the question there is a what question.
Okay, you are not loud enough. I don't know if others can hear you.
The type of question there is a what question.
Hello?
Some people argue. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you properly.
Okay. Besides, I have cold.
Okay,
so.
I can hear you now.
All right. The question says, some people argue that girls and boys should be educated separately, while others think that it is more advantageous for children to study at the same school.
Okay.
And they asked, what is your opinion?
Okay, what question type is it? Based on the explanation as I have given.
Okay, besides, I joined late, so
you joined late?
Yes, please.
Okay.
But based on what you've... Yes, sir.
Okay. So based on the explanation I gave,
yes,
is a why question, because you would be taking a position and defending the position. Don't mind the fact that the question is saying, what is your
what?
Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, don't mind the fact that the question is saying, what is your opinion? It is a why question, because you will have to take a side and then justify your position. And any place where you have to take a side and justify your position is a why question. Okay, so let us quickly move on now. These are other practices that we can do. Nowadays, university education is considered very important for people's future. However, there are a lot of successful people who didn't get higher education. Do you think higher education is necessary to succeed in life?
How?
So this question type, we say justify your opinion with relevant examples. This question type is a why question too, because you will be taking a side of discussion, or you can decide to even be neutral, depending on what you choose to discuss. Okay, so now let me go over the question type and go to the next stage. The next stage is for you to plan your writing. One of the reasons why planning is very important is because if you don't plan, I have discovered that a lot of people get in middle of their writing and they don't know what to write anymore. So what I mean by planning is you need to properly articulate your point before you set out. That is, this will guide your writing so that you don't just write or start writing any idea that pop up in your head. You need to properly articulate your points. And I need to make it abundantly clear. It is not the number of points that you raise that is important. It is how you are able to properly articulate your points that is important. Because if you raise points and you can't illustrate and defend them, you will not be scoring good marks. But I will be providing guidance on how to properly articulate your points. Then, okay, this is a sample question I will want us to treat. I said plan because I want to plan it now. I don't want it to be theory. Nowadays, people find it more convenient to buy a movie ticket to go watch a film at the cinema than to purchase a library pass to go read at the library. What is your opinion on this? Okay, this question is a bit dicey because it is a why question, and some people have properly argued with me that it can stand as a what question. But it is two opinions. It's definitely a why question. Okay, so you are going to take, but the thing there is that it has made a categorical statement that nowadays, so it is more of a what. It's not much of a position. It is more of saying, yes, this is what is happening. It's a fact. Yes, that's why you need to properly understand the question so that you don't mix things up. Okay, so now I raised points. The point I raised is that people visit the cinema. I am flowing with the fact that yes, people go to the cinema, they watch movie, okay, than go to the library. Here I have said people visit the cinema for economic gain. What do I want to explain? I said to be reinvigorated for work. My second point is many now find inspiration from watching films, inspiration that translates to solving problems. Number three, people now meet in the cinema to share ideas. Okay, number four, one of my students gave this this fourth option. He said cinema is more relaxing than libraries. Okay, okay. So these are the things that I feel makes cinema more inviting, or why many people now visit the cinema.
More than the library.
Yes. Now, if you want your writing to be robust, you might likely develop points on why people don't like going to the library anymore. So I developed some points. I said, these are points to discredit visiting the library. Libraries are often deserted, lonely road to discover anything. Discovery often take more time, even years. Many find books many find books cumbersome and confusing. Okay, are you still all with me?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, so that is it. Okay, so I have been able to raise this point for the side of why people like going to the movies these days, and as to why people no longer like going to the library. Because if you are able to raise points from both sides of the divide, you will have a more robust discussion. And that is the way to plan. So when you have your points, the next thing you will do is to write an introduction or a background. because a lot of people, you need to properly structure. Now, I am going into the structure of the write-up. You need to write an introduction. If you can see my slide, the point I highlighted in red down is this should capture the discussion or argument and possibly the direction of your discussion. If possible, highlight the points you will discuss in the introduction. That's a lengthy statement, but I have broken them down into two things. Number one, rewrite the question. Yes, in your own word, rewrite the question, because that's all the things I wrote in red. That's what it's talking about. Then highlight the points you want to discuss. The question that you have rewritten, you would rewrite it in a way that it will flow into your discussion. So you would rewrite the question, then highlight the points you want to discuss. And now I will take you to a sample that I have written so that you can see, because this question is not really an Ielts. I coined it because I wanted to write something that will be as simple as possible, but it is Ielts standard. Okay, now if you look at it, this is my introduction. I said the culture of reading and watching film have changed. Now, there is a mistake in this sentence.
The culture of reading and watching films.
I purposely left it there. I just highlighted it now. The culture of reading and watching films have changed. Is it really a yeah, because it should be the culture as, because I'm talking about culture, has changed markedly in recent times. With majority opting for the cinema instead of the libraries. Now, by that green, I have properly recaptured the question in my own words. The culture of reading and watching films has changed markedly in recent years. I use the word markedly. I can use significantly, but this will boost my expression score. Okay, has changed significantly in recent times, with majority opting for the cinema instead of the library. I have reframed the question in a very, very direct way that now allows me to go on narrating my point. So the points that I have highlighted, in my planning, I now highlighted them here. I said the choice of visiting the cinema for many have become more of economic decision in recent times, as against the norm of watching a movie at the cinema for the fun of it or just relaxation. Okay, many people now visit the movie to re-energize, to get inspired, recapture their best mood, to get reinvigorated for work, and to network, to share ideas. I have written my introduction. The part that you saw in red is an addition that I found not necessary. I just kept it there. While I was writing, I just wrote it. So this is an introduction. The green part, let me change this part so that you can properly understand that this is has. Because have is more of plural. Has is third person singular. Okay. This is how to frame an introduction. First, you need to rewrite the question. Then the second thing, you need to highlight your points. With this, you can't miss it. The marker knows your direction. And this introduction will also guide you so that you don't make unnecessary points along the road. so that you don't write things that are not necessary. So the first thing, because if you want to practice on your own, normally in a normal class, I normally end the session here. I will ask everyone, give them another question, ask them to rewrite the question. Sorry, ask them to identify the question type, ask them to plan, and ask them to write an introduction. When you want to practice on your own, these are the things you need to put yourself through so that you can be very, very meticulous. Don't just write anything. So now I will go through the first paragraph. I don't know if you are tired, because I don't want it to be too cumbersome. It is just maybe 36 minutes of lectures. Okay.
Yes, we are not tired.
Okay. Well, one thing I want you to note, why I want to emphasize this part is that this is where you have done the major or the bulk of the work. When you have identified the question, you have planned, and you have written your introduction. Your writing is set for a good narrative. Okay. Now, this is an introduction. Introduction, rewrite the question, then highlight the points you want to discuss. If it is a question of take a position, you can take a position. As a matter of fact, from what I have written, you discover that I have taken a side. I have said, yes, I agree with this statement. So I am treating it as a what question. Okay, now, when you get to the main body, this is what you should do. I said each point raised should be discussed in separate paragraphs. Don't rush, don't just list the points. Yes, each point that I have highlighted there, that I have inserted in my planning as point 1, point 2, point 3, should be discussed in a separate paragraph. It allows your writing to be very organized. Once you are organized, I have never seen someone who writes an organized essay and scored less than 6.5. Once you are organized, you will score 6.5. Once you can introduce better expressions, alternate words, and good vocabulary, you will start scoring 7, 7.58, thereabouts. So each point you raise needs to be illustrated. I will give you an example of a paragraph. And if possible, each point should be validated. Validation can come in form of example, citing authority or statistics, or illustrations that are particularly a general happening. For example, if you say women are better parents than men, you can say right from the birth of a child, women are closer to their child because they breastfeed, they sleep close to the child. These are normal life illustrations which validates anything you are saying. Okay. So each point raised, and I will emphasize it vividly. So every paragraph should have the following: a topic statement, that is, you introduce your main idea. Then you illustrate the idea. That's what I call definition of topic. Then you validate or give example. So I have just rewritten the last slide in a very clear, well outlined format. Okay. So now let us go into one of the paragraphs that I wrote. Okay. This is main body, paragraph 1. I said people visit the cinema these days not just to relax, but to recapture their good mood and energy. Okay. Okay. I said relaxation has been found to be one of the best methods to recapture one's mood and vigor, and this is generally true when done in the company of others and in an atmosphere of fun and serenity. These are not absolute truths, but I'm illustrating my point because some of us might be saying, oh, is this actually true? It doesn't need to be absolutely true, but you need to
Sure.
properly illustrate your point, defend your position. So when you make a statement, try to explain it. Don't just jump. You will see that I'm deliberate. I'm trying to explain. So according to recent research by US Department of Health, most people are able to regain their strength, return to the best of mood when they relax, especially by watching film. Watching movies. Okay, now this is because activities like watching movie have been found to relax human more than sleep, and more people are now embracing the culture of relaxing productivity. So I've been able to properly illustrate my point by the explanation I gave, and I have cited examples to now validate what I'm saying. US Department of Health. It doesn't need to be true. And yes, and I even said generally somewhere, I said this is generally true because this is the way to validate your point. When done in company of others and in an atmosphere, these are the way you illustrate and validate your point. I now said it emphatically here that this is because activities like watching movies have been found to, this is an example of validation. I didn't cite any authority, I just made it a statement of fact. I didn't make it a general fact, but I still use choice word that cannot be questioned. Because some people use choice word that can be questioned. Everybody who watch movies have been found to be more relaxed than those. Those are too general that you cannot afford to use. Make your statement in this way. This is because activities like watching movie have been found. Whoever has found it, I didn't cite it, but I'm just saying it. So this is the way to go about constructing your paragraphs. Every point you make, illustrate. Every point you make, if you can validate with examples, authority, things like that, it makes your narration more clear. You will be clear. You are not just jumping from one point to another. Okay, then I raised another paragraph. This is my second paragraph. Also, new discoveries have shown good movies spark innovative ideas at regular intervals, especially when watched in the company of friends in relaxing and conducive atmosphere. Books are also reputed. Now, I am quoting the fact that books spark ideas because those are the points I raised. Are reputed to create geniuses. I use another word instead of idea now. Geniuses, but the regularity of inspiration provided cannot match that of a good movie. Now, that's why I say you need to read a lot for you to just generate ideas in your head. Yes, you need to be able to tell stories. That's the thing. I made an introductory statement. I am using the case of book now to say, yes, book also help generate ideas, but not as regularly as movies does. So now, I'm now validating. A movie of 1 hour plus can spark about 5 ideas, while it takes consistent reading over time That is at least a couple of weeks before one original idea can be battered through books. Okay, the awareness of the regularity of ideas generations through movie watching is creating a new wave of cinema culture, which has seen the number of people visiting libraries hit rock bottom in recent times. I'm just re-emphasizing what has been said, but I now link it to my point. This expression, because I have not been able to use many expressions, a number of people visiting libraries hit rock bottom is a very good expression that will score a high mark. The regularity of inspiration provided. These are better expressions. That's why when you read, most of the things I'm using, I normally catalog my expression because I will forget. I read them constantly. When I read anything, I will write it down because that's the way to learn expression. English is not our first language. English is not my first language. I taught myself to this particular level. So if you want to score a very high mark in high Ielts writing, it is a deliberate thing that you need to do.
Yes.
It is a deliberate thing. Once you get the structure properly, there is the guarantee you will score between 6 and 7. Once you are able to now use good expressions, you can see I use movie, I use films, I use cinemas, I use them interchangeably, I use innovation, I use spark of genius, I use those things because I am trying not to repeat myself. So those are the things you need to regularly do. Now, I didn't write a third paragraph because as at this point, my word count was already about 300 and something. So if you discover that you have written many words, in your introduction, you can go and delete some of the points you raised that you want to discuss. It is not the number of points that you raise that matters. It is how you are able to vividly express each point. Okay, now, so let me now go to the latter part. I say conclusion. Okay, I said your conclusion should capture all the points raised and discussed in summary format. Then let your position be vividly clear. If possible, your summary or conclusion is just the same as your introduction with a few more details from your discussion or argument or from the argument you carried out. So I will say rewrite your introduction in another format. Though, because you have discussed some of the points, you have been able to come to certain ideas, you will infuse them. Don't write anything new in your conclusion. Don't introduce any new idea in your conclusion. Any new idea should be discussed in the main body in a separate paragraph. When you come to your conclusion, you are summarizing. So this is the conclusion I came. In all, the new discoveries into the realization of movie as a creative spark agent. This is my coinage. And also that cinema environment help people recapture their best self for better productivity. Thinking creatively while relaxing is the cause of the preference for and willingness to spend to watch movies in recent times. This latter part has captured my rewriting of the question. And this first part, so it doesn't mean that you must rewrite the question first. It depends on how it occurs to you. This first part captured all the points that I discussed. So I just rewrote the introduction in another format. And my writing is done.
Wow.
So these are the things you need to, writing is not something cumbersome. It's just that raise few points, discuss the few points, but the first thing, identify the question type, understand the questions, then plan. Raise 2-3 points that you want to discuss. I raised 3 points for about 4 points, 3 points for this thing. For why people go to movie, I raised about 3.4, but I was only able to discuss just 2 in the first part and 2 in the second part. I discovered that word count was against me, so I don't need to discuss the other parts. It is not the number of points you raised, it is how clearly you express yourself. Okay, that's it. Your structure must be good. Your writing, expression, and vocabulary must be up to standard. If you are, so to round off now, I just want to tell you what it means. If you are a Yoruba person or Igbo person or Hausa person, what it means is that when you speak Yoruba on a normal day or Hausa or Igbo, there are some people who speak surface level Yoruba, Hausa or Igbo. That's the way we all speak English some of the time. But now, for you to score a high mark in this, you need to start speaking like a native. What I'm talking about speaking now. So when you write, you need to start writing like a native. So that's why you need to read journals from those sites that I recommend, because those sites are academic journals from top universities in the world. Okay, so that's the end of the lecture. If you have any question, I'll be glad to answer your question before I go to sleep. It's almost 10. So one of the things there is that I hope this lecture will help us, especially in writing, because I've discussed the writing type too. I hope it's going to be of great help to us. Okay, if you have any question, please let me know.
Thank you. Thank you for the lectures. Very, very nice. It's a very nice one.
You are welcome. You are most welcome. So,
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. My question is that in all the write-up, you didn't use the word, for example, or or something like in other words, or henceforth.
I know that people said you need to use for example, but while I was citing my example, I didn't say for example. For example, it's an elementary way of writing.
Okay.
If you are stuck and you don't know how to transit, please use for example.
Okay.
But if you look at the way I gave my example,
yeah, it's nice.
I said a movie of 1 hour plus. Some people can say, for example, in this part, but it is not necessary. The writer knows I am citing an example.
An example, yes.
Okay, but sometimes I write for example. It is not bad, but at a point in time, it's not absolutely, because I know that some sites say you must use this, you must use that. Absolutely, the purpose of using is for the writer to know that you are transiting. When I made my first point, I said people visit the cinema. I was citing my first point. The second point, also new discoveries. Some people can say secondly. Fine.
I wanted to ask. Okay.
Fine, no problem. But the thing there is that once you read those journal sites I said to you, I showed in the first place, most of those journals do not write that way. It's not compulsory. The only thing is that you need to let the writer know that you are transiting.
Okay.
Yes, you can do it by saying firstly or first of all. Fine. Secondly, lastly. In my conclusion, I use a concluding word like in all. In all,
yeah.
In conclusion.
Finally.
Yes. It means I was summarizing. Immediately that the marker sees it, it knows I am summarizing at this point.
Okay.
Yes. So we need to, in the conclusion part, please, you can use finally or summary or in conclusion or in all. The writer must understand that you are summarizing. Okay. So someone else wants to speak. Please speak up. Is that your final? Is that all the question you have?
Yes, that's all I have.
Okay. So the next person, it's your email that is appearing. If you would like to ask any question, please ask your question. If not, through whichever link you came on this lecture, you can send me inquiries or anything of concern. On Thursday, I am in a closed group on Facebook. Because I don't normally do free lectures on Thursday, I normally do a paid lecture, but today I decided to make it free. Tuesdays. On Thursdays, I'm always live on a closed Facebook that I created. We have about 130 people on that group. You can join the group, send me a message for me to send you the link so you can join the group, so that on every Thursday you can be part of the lectures I provide for free. And if you are willing to join our extensive and elaborate class, physical or online, you can contact me. So my name is Isaac. So I am your regular Ielts person. I hope to catch you some other time. Somebody, he or she has a question, I will be ready to listen. But if you don't have a question, then I will have to end the lecture now.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I wish you a nice night too. So
bye.
Okay, so bye.
Bye.